presenting, because it's a changes. Who's the company?
Oh,
I know
okay,
we-
sure. I'm sorry, I
what's
used
your
to jump right
quick
in with
pitch?
it, that's why.
Yeah.
EduKids Connect Systems, I'm the CEO, Kay or Chef. Nice to meet you, Ash and Jonathan.
Nice to meet you.
Again, basically, you want me to give a 30-second pitch?
Yeah, please.
Sure. 12.8 million American children attend some type of childcare program. These childcare programs have tons of front office and back office administrative paperwork and are expected to offer a high quality educational program while constantly dealing with parent disruptions, phone calls, messages, so on and so forth. The solution to this is EduKids, an easy to use intuitive mobile app that resolves and automates the manual processes for front office and back office for childcare centers, and it connects the teachers directly to the parents to share the child's daily activities. In essence, we're a one-stop shop or a business in a box for childcare centers.
Good. I thought that was very good.
Yeah.
Well done, and I think it resonates. How do you feel about it? And
Yeah, I think it resonates
Okay.
well when I say make the same elevator speech in
Yeah.
front of the mentors, and it kind of gives the purpose pretty clearly when
Yeah.
I mention
Now,
it.
and I would say, in general, you don't have your chart, but the feedback that I've been hearing is mostly positive, but I don't think you've yet sold people about getting around the fragmentation of the market, and that you can actually. So there are more issues around, can this actually be a business? And then I also think there are, still folks who maybe hear that, but then see a communication tool. And again, I don't know if you've been looking at the online feedback or not. Does that resonate?
The forms that are the information given out by the mentors, yeah, that resonates. I didn't hear that point, so just thanks to point that out about that fragmented market.
Right, it's like how are you ever going to build a business when they're all mom and pop shops and it's fragmented?
Right. But I thought I heard the positive part of it, saying that's fantastic, because now even if you got a couple competitors in the market with a lot of money, they still can't get anywhere at that point. On the other side
That is the
coin.
glass half empty. I mean half full.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's great, and yes, the business is. So as you said when you asked in the very first meeting, so how many students do we need to get to $1 million in revenue? About 27,000 kids. So it wasn't that bad when I think about it on a number perspective.
Right.
And I think the target was to, I guess, double our kids from 300 to 600.
Right.
By the time we leave the program,
How
we
we doing?
might be able to get there.
Okay.
But let's see. We're still in the process of convincing a few childcare centers to get on to us for trial, because it takes time, simply, nothing else.
Right. Well, let's go to your agenda.
Okay. Sure.
Otherwise, we'll take up all the time. But because I do want to get to some of the,
I-
clearly biz dev and trying to get networks has been something that we keep hearing. Got to get done if we're going to kickstart.
And I want to talk about the next 4 weeks in terms of investor prospecting, targeting specific investors.
But also, let's hear your agenda.
So my agenda was, I spoke to UPK, Pamela Morris, yesterday. The meeting went well. She said she will follow up with Lori Brotman, something like that. She was involved in from an NYU perspective with the UPK folks in parent engagement, and has nothing to do with technology, so this might be synergistic in essence. And so she will connect us with her. And then second, she said she will connect us with Sophia from UPK as well, and see what her thoughts on this are.
Okay.
And so that's one piece of the puzzle. The second thing was, as I said, a couple centers we got recently, like Rockefeller University Child Care Center. We spoke to them, and they seem very interested. And so
And this is like 20 students, 50
this
students?
is 160 kids.
Okay.
And who would that come through? Rockefeller?
That came through two ways. One was Lisa knew them, but
Okay.
was in the process. But then Adam Neiman
Got it. Great.
put us through quickly, and that was fantastic. Thanks to Adam Neiman.
Okay.
Shout out to him for that. Yeah.
Okay.
Since it's recorded, yeah. Okay. The question I had was with regards to layout of the booths for the demo day. Wanted to know more about that, and I also wanted to know more about the open lab. So if we were to do that, if we have some help, that'd be great. We did get a yes from UNIS, which is United Nations International School, and they said yes, you have the opportunity to go ahead and take a 2-hour slot from 1:30 to 3:30 on the 20th. If you decide to do so
On the 20th.
of
20th. No,
Good,
20th.
20th,
That's
yeah,
20th. That's
yeah.
right.
it was
Yeah,
20th.
yeah, 20th,
I thought it
right.
was 20th. Okay. So
Interesting.
we have a yes saying, yes, you're more than welcome to come in. We're trying to pitch to them as well,
Yeah.
but since it's different.
Is someone there going to be involved? Would they
Yes,
do a
it's-
tour? Would they do
Yes,
a
you will get a
presentation?
tour of the entire, I don't know how much. I haven't talked to them as yet, but you will get a tour of the United Nations
Cool.
facility.
That might be a cool thing to invite other potential customers to as well,
Yeah.
right? And who are you thinking of in terms of audience?
So, okay, so as I said, I remember you asking me or telling me in the first couple weeks about, are you sure you're spending the right kind of biz dev time on City?
Right.
Well, I just still not sure about that still. So I invited them. I didn't get any response on them. I'll follow up with them again. But so that was one of the things we're inviting. And a couple of thought leaders we have at our hand are Ellen Cerniglia. She's a master's from Columbia, PhD from NYU or something to that effect.
Huh.
And she owns her own daycare center called Jakari Play School. So she's one of our clients as well.
Mm-hmm.
So she would be coming. Jeanette Corey, who's involved in YMCA. These are the two people we've reached out to. And we did reach out to one more person who was on the New York City board, but I don't think we haven't gotten a positive response as far as I know right now. So these are three folks that we know of, but I don't think that's enough to come up with a whole open discussion for early childhood learning. I think we reached out to Doug Lynch as to what his process of
Yeah, in
was.
terms of the panel, there's somebody from WNET, there's somebody from KinderCare, there's a professor, there's somebody invited from Sesame Street. Looks like it hasn't accepted yet. But I do think Eunice has an interesting
Yes.
potential call, especially if you could tie it into somehow international, you know, discussions right now in particular, right? It's kind of a highly topical as to are we the melting pot or not.
That's the reason I brought up the topic, because it does take a lot of time to do this effort
Yeah.
behind the scenes, while I also need to continuously
Okay.
sell. So I was trying to see if I can get some help, maybe kind of
Interesting.
coordinate with somebody else, or
Well, it could just be that if we can't pull off the Eunice, that maybe we involve a couple of those people in the early childhood work group.
It would overlap, right?
No, put them in it.
I see.
We don't have
Gotcha.
confirmation on a couple
Yeah,
of
yeah.
these, and Wallerstein is working on that one.
Right.
So maybe if you could just send us who the folks
Sure.
are, and well, let's think about Eunice, but
yeah, we got the confirmation from the two. That's why I only told you those two, and the others I haven't gotten confirmation.
right, so just those two that you have confirmation from,
Yep.
like, let's check it out and run it by.
Agreed.
All right, so moving from, I guess, Eunice for a little bit, in terms of, so you did talk to Sitter City. Are there other, what's the update there? I know you put out
I
a.
have no update from them as yet.
So
They
you sent
haven't
them
said no.
You sent them
I send
a
them
proposal and they,
I
no
send them two
response?
things. I send them saying, you're welcome to come over, or we'd like to have you as our guest.
Right,
I send them a pricing proposal, and
radio
not
silence.
sure if I did this right or wrong. It was the middle of the night. I also send them an email saying, if you're interested, we can talk in pricing also in terms of equity. And that's where I left it off as.
Hmm.
So it was just, it
In
was
general,
too late, in general.
tweeting and emailing in the middle of the night?
It's not a good idea.
Maybe
It's
not.
just one of those days, but
Sorry,
Yeah,
idea.
yeah.
I wouldn't consider that opportunity lost. I think
it's
that
not, it's still in
large
process.
organizations takes a long time to make a decision, especially if you complicate it by offering multiple
Yeah.
choices, right?
Well, yeah, I offered them one. I didn't get back anything for
Right.
4 days.
Yeah.
So I thought maybe it was
Could just be busy.
yeah, it could be just, it could be Thanksgiving, who knows? at that point. So,
But you
yeah.
can just, you know,
I'll
try
follow
to
up
ping them.
this week.
And KinderCare?
I
is that-
tried to reach out to them through a couple folks. Tony hasn't had an opportunity. He said he reached out to somebody by the name Danny. I don't know who that is.
Who's on his board?
Who's
Yeah.
on his board. But
We
I
also
haven't
have
heard-
somebody named Alana Yalo, who is coming from
Okay.
KinderCare. Do you know what her position is?
I'm not sure.
That'd be great to connect.
She'll
with
be
them
at
and see.
the conference.
And speaking.
Oh, wait. Chief Executive Officer of KinderCare Education Early Learning Programs and Chief Academic Officer. So she'll be on the early childhood. All right, so there's a chief executive officer of kindercare education. Then there's a chief executive officer of kindercare education and early learning programs and chief academic officers. Anyway, she's
Probably 2 lines of business.
CEO title for early learning. So you haven't had any, are there any other networks or chains that you've been able to?
So yeah, I have a bunch of more. I haven't gotten the second or third steps where they take on my trial. So the ones I told you, the ones who actually demoed and took on and are in the process of trial steps.
Okay.
The other 2 that we're talking, well, we have one more, EduKids, which is also an after-school program that's at under 30, 50 kids. So we
Right.
got them as well. Those are the 2 we got while we were
Okay.
here right now. And the other 2 we're talking to are from Tim Haitian.
Mm-hmm.
He was one of the mentors, and he connected us with Rainbow Academy, about a few hundred centers,
Right.
centers I would say, in Michigan. And so he connected me with one person, but unfortunately that person was there last week at Rainbow Academy. So they forwarded the email on to somebody else, and that's where I am in the process right now. This just happened last week.
So in 3 weeks, when you're presenting, if you were to say what your recurring monthly revenue is.
Okay, I'm hoping to double it to a couple grand instead of 1,000,
Okay.
but I haven't yet reached there.
Okay, so the real question is, where, in order for you to go in and start pitching a seed round, like where do you have to be, and what what story are you going to be telling, right? 1,000, 2,000 is still pretty early. My guess is if you're showing acceleration and that's getting up to 10,000 a month, and it's showing that it's going in the right direction, that's kind of a point in time.
Okay.
So
So
something.
that's also assuming that he wants to raise a seed round.
Yeah, I don't
Right,
know
well,
whether that's the case or not.
Yeah, I mean, what is the definition of seed round in today's world? I don't know that anymore.
Money.
Well, I know
Under
that.
$500,000, let's say.
Okay, then it's a seed round,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay.
And it's not, generally, when an institutional investor gets involved, they will invest in a.
No, I know that.
Like
I'm
a
just saying
seed.
the definitions have changed since I knew a couple years ago. It's like less money, more money is now considered seed. That's what I was asking.
Well, that's what I was being responsive to. Usually an institution will invest in a security, which is a preferred security.
Okay.
Usually a seed round is done either in common equity or convertible notes.
Okay.
That's kind of what people talk, it tends to bifurcate that way, but I think a lot of it just has to do with stage and just the amount of size and, and in general, a venture investor is not, in general, though this is changing some, is generally not doing seed rounds. They're generally investing in companies that have $1 million in recurring revenue, and they're coming in rounds that are 2 to 3 million at least in equity.
Okay.
No, so generally we talk about seed financing as being before that.
So to get to that point in 12 to 18 months, what kind of capital do you need? That's the definition of a
Yeah,
seed
so-
round for you.
As approximately $500,000 is what it is that we
Right.
need at this point,
Okay.
which makes sense to get there. And it could get there sooner with a simple partnership, any one of them, like in no time, and it's just time to kind of maintain,
Right.
manage, and support, I guess, more than anything else is what we would take it for, and more for sales and marketing. So the approach we're taking right now is based on the feedback I've received and help from you guys is more along the lines of selling to moms and pops. And so doing both the things, I'm just keeping Center City aside because it was a good experiment, we did that. If that pans out, it's a different story. Otherwise, go to moms and pops, we have the marketing channel set up, and we're trying to develop our customer acquisition cost, which is we sent out a couple hundred emails, we got 20%, 25% to 30% open rates, and we got about 4 to 5% of click-throughs that who actually downloaded our demos and are playing with it. So now what we're doing is we're following up with them with phone calls and saying, can we convert you to a trial, and then can you get into a real customer?
Right.
What we've seen is when we convert them to a trial, they normally get on to become a real customer from our current sample size
Right.
at least. So that's one thing we're doing on the sides, and of course, I'm constantly emailing and trying to reach all the biz dev that I got through here as to whoever can
Right,
suggest
so
me more
just
centers.
circling back in terms of what I heard, you're going after the mom and pops as opposed to after the chains?
Both. I'm not leaving out either one. I'm doing both at the same time because the chains take a longer time, is what I've seen. Especially even like a 5-center franchise still takes way longer. So
But we haven't, but you haven't gotten to the Kinder Cares or the Bright Horizons or the.
no, I haven't gotten to Kinder Cares. No,
And-
I have
and-
gotten no connections to Kinder Cares as yet. I
Okay.
did get into Rainbow Academy. That's 100 centers.
Okay.
Thanks to Tim Haitian.
So how big could a contract with them?
100 centers? That's huge.
That's
That's, I'm guessing about 50 kids per center at least, at a minimum.
Right?
That's 50,000 kids right there.
And that would turn into
50,000 times 3
times, so 150,000 a year.
per month.
Oh, a month?
Yeah.
A month, okay, so that's significant. So what do we
Yeah.
need to do to get that?
Well, I just got the contact, so I'm just
Okay.
following through the same process to
Right.
get there and get going.
So in terms of moving, and again, I'm working backwards, so so if we say, okay, 12 to 18 months from now, you need to be at $1 million in recurring revenue. You need to raise, it sounds like $500,000 to get from here to there. So the real question is, what do we need to do to get to $500,000 raise, right? So if I'm sitting on the other side as an investor, there's not enough traction, in terms of going, one at a time. It's possible if that starts to grow and you go from 1,000 to 2,000 to 5,000 to 10,000, that at that point, I think it might all of a sudden show that kind of momentum. But shy of that, I think you're going to have to land one of these bigger.
We don't know
chains.
as yet because I have never tried that marketing route. Since I came here, thanks to you folks and Cesari, I actually implemented
So you're
that.
doing the whole digital marketing campaign.
Yeah, I haven't
right?
never done that before.
Right.
Before I came, it was all, I know you,
Okay.
let me go ahead and sell to you. Okay, you bought it, let me move on to the next person. You had
Okay.
referred me. So I never tried this. The first time I'm doing it, first 1.5 month, we automated the process. I told you 6 weeks, we got it done in 6 weeks. We sent out our first campaign, it's off. But then
Right.
I spoke to the mentors. They said, don't send your next 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 emails right now, not the right timing. Wait until the second week of January and then blast it out. The meanwhile, continue growing organically the way you know,
Right.
through word of mouth, basically.
Right.
So that's what I'm doing right now through all the mentors and
Right.
reaching. I'm not leaving any of those big buckets out. So
Right.
I do harass Tony every once in a while. Hey, what do you think about this? Or whoever it is that I can reach out to
Right.
constantly. So like Adam Neiman was fantastic, right? Just connected me one center. I got in there, and now I have a potential lead to get them in for 150 kids.
So I think in terms of when you're sitting with investors at this stage, based on where you are, you probably want to say we're driving the market through 2 channels. One is a digital marketing campaign, and one is business development to the larger chains. And you might want to kind of have your story there and just be upfront as to where you are in that experimentation. Now the real question comes in for the 3-minute, and I don't know if you worked on your 3-minute
I
script yet.
drafted a first shot at it. I was hoping Rebecca, when she gets a chance, to take a look at it, but I want to get it done
Yeah, or
irrespectively.
we can look at it now too, it would be interesting, but,
Sure.
so how do you approach it? Or should we you wanna go through it, or should we look at it? What would you-
Sure. I mean,
And is it
one
just the
second.
script, or are you working on any slides yet?
No, I haven't done any slides as yet
Okay.
at all.
So wait until we perfect or get to the script to a certain point where it's structured well and has all the information it needs
Okay.
before we create the deck.
I did apply to some launch and learn competitions, so I have to get the slides, at least the first draft,
Okay.
by tomorrow, but I'll get it done.
Okay.
Or Thursday, I guess.
Jonathan reacts well to pitch decks, as in being able to see a version of it that you can change on there. So I think a skeleton would be a good next step
absolutely.
Cause we are 3 weeks away.
after. Yep.
Yeah, what is the goal in terms of kind of having the first, cause.
Skeleton of pitch deck ready by next Monday. All the graphics.
I have to look for it, so give me a couple of minutes.
All right, this is for the 3-minute.
The 3-minute pitch.
Okay.
It's there on my drive somewhere. Look it up early. Share it with me. I shared it with somebody. Let me Send it with Rebecca. There we go. Open in Docs. All right. So this is the same one that. By the way, just one thing, the website address is wrong on the StartED companies page for us.
Okay.
I'll Slack it to, who do I Slack it to?
Slack it to Gaurav.
Gaurav, okay.
Yeah.
They put some other company's address, okay. So this is what I have right now.
And have you gone through it to know how long it takes?
Yeah, 3 minutes and 10 seconds or something, less than that.
By the way, branding, are we sticking with EduKids?
I want to change it, but there's no
You
time. I'm definitely sticking with the logo and the colors.
Right.
The name is fantastic to be able to change it to, but right now I don't have the
Do
opportunity
you have,
or time to change.
do we have any contenders?
No, I didn't spend any time on it because if I did that, then I would be spending my wheels rebranding all that stuff.
Okay.
You know, at that point, I would want to do that in the near future for sure.
Right.
But right after I get through the demo day.
Okay. So for the first couple are basically your 30-second pitch.
Right, and I do have to include in here a couple of emotional factors that you guys have mentioned, but I haven't had a chance to do it. I was going to do that today.
Do we have any data on how fast childcare is growing? Whether it's going up, down?
It's going up. I do have data. It's a little old. It's 2015 data is what I have. I can research that same site and get the new updates. It's growing every year. I don't have it in front of me right now, but it was like a few 60 million or something like that spending to. I don't even know. I can't throw numbers without knowing it.
I don't know that you need to put competitors in this, do you? In the 3-minute pitch?
I don't think you need to talk about them, but you can. The purpose is to show differentiation, right? So as long as I think it's smart to include competitors, as long as you're showing how you're better.
Right.
On specific.
And maybe I'll include the ones that only have parent-teacher communication piece and talk about it and say how we're not just that.
Right.
And we're the business in a box for childcare center.
Mm-hmm.
I did have one question for you guys though. Based on my meeting with Pamela Morris from UPK, how much do you think is that potentially positive? Because I found it as a weird synergy that happened is because Lori was already working on and got funded by the state for having parent engagement become a better part of UPK.
Right.
And it's still continuing to get funded on that aspect. So this is where the technology would come into play, which doesn't involve technology.
It's great. So will she buy it?
My point was continuing to connect through Pamela Morris, is that the right path only, or is there some other way also I should
Get to
kind of push?
UPK?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say.
Well, when
Am I
is
doing one, or
Sarah
should I do
again?
multiple
Sarah's
things?
coming?
Friday.
So this Friday, you have the Fund for Public Schools director coming in. So
Okay.
make sure to get on her calendar.
What is that name?
Friday.
Sarah Geisenheimer.
Oh, okay, it's not on the.
This is a
Regular
meeting
stuff.
with
You guys.
Jonathan and I, but
we
we'll
should
open
get
it up.
Yeah, we should definitely get a couple of companies to meet with her.
Okay. No, I just wanted to make sure if it's a huge chance, that's why, because they got funding, it's parent engagement, and Pamela loved it when we
ask,
spoke to her, that's why.
Well, I would stick with her, but if
Oh,
you
yeah,
want
absolutely, I'm
another
just
one-
making sure.
Yeah. I would try to get a little more to the total addressable market here. It's you throw a couple of numbers out, which is good in terms of how many kids there are, but either how much they currently pay for something or how much you think they would pay, or based on how many kids there are, at what price, what the total, people will want to know. I think kind of in general, what's the problem? Is it worth solving? How big is it? And the way to, and by the way, with the first one, throwing some emotion in there, again, this is where I've kind of pushed you before and said, who cares about early child care anyway?
Yes, yeah, I
So,
understand.
why should investor care, right? That they're funding you to help early child care, and then how big is that market? Like if you can get past those first two steps, then it's a little easier to just convince them that you can actually execute on it.
Okay. All right, no, yeah, I agree. I mean, your question was good when you asked me about why should investors care for early childhood, which makes sense.
Okay. So those would be my quick comments on the pitch, and then next time we should actually hear you go through it, and especially if there are
And with the
some
skeleton.
visuals that go with it.
Okay, is that this Thursday
So
or
this,
next
this,
Thursday?
this Thursday at pitch practice.
Okay.
We have about 5 minutes left. Did you have any questions that you didn't want to address?
Yeah, I think we still have to go through the boot stuff.
Okay.
It's just to give us as to
Isn't it
what
just
am I
a round
having? Do you have a video?
Yeah, it's a table about around this size, and they wanted to do a video, so they're shooting a video,
We're shooting a
all of
video
tomorrow,
tomorrow.
So that there'll be a sizzle reel.
Oh, cool.
But there won't be easy access to power unless we specifically locate you
Easy
by
access
power.
to a what?
Like
Power.
a
A power,
outlet.
okay.
Power cord.
So what we could do is make sure that we have charged laptops as a backup.
Yeah,
But I can check whether we can locate you near a power outlet.
We were planning on putting a projector on a whiteboard and just push it out there. It's all connected to a laptop, of course.
You might not have space to put up a
projector might be
separate
difficult.
screen.
Banner? We have banners. Can we use them or no?
Why don't I show you some images of what it actually looked like?
Okay, fine.
And I think that
That's
will
okay.
help.
We'll take it from there.
Yeah.
And you're gonna let us know about the open lab. I should just email you the two names.
Yeah, why don't you
And Eunice.
you do that, and then we should kick around a little more whether we make an event at Eunice, if that makes sense. Do you have like a champion there that you're working on it with?
Yeah, we have.
Is there something that they'd like to do? Like,
No, the school's closed. That's the
I
problem.
see, so the school is closed.
If they were there, they would have loved to get involved because they wanted to send more people there
Right.
and get involved. And it's of course it's publicity for them.
So is anyone actually gonna wanna go then to the school? Like,
Well, you will get a whole.
will they visit the UN or no?
Yeah,
They
you'll
just
get the what is it called? The walk around for the UN building. That's the key thing, right? You'll get a whole tour.
Of the UN building or just of Eunice?
No, of the UN building.
Can you confirm that?
I will confirm that.
Yes,
That'd be a draw.
that would be a big draw, I think.
Yeah, that's the only reason I would be going there,
Yeah.
is to get that tour.
If you,
That's why
because
I did
if it includes a tour of the UN, I would think you'll get. Now, don't people need like clearance and stuff, or no?
I don't know how much, so that's
All
what
right,
I'll confirm.
yeah,
I'll find
let's
out
find
that
out.
answer.
I
and
would
I'll
think
get
we'd
back
get
to
at
you.
least.
I didn't want to do any work
20 or
if you
25
guys
people.
were not
No.
interested. Saying,
I
why
didn't
would
get.
go
I
ahead and
didn't.
spend
I
my
missed
wheels
that
on it?
part. I thought because Eunice School is not at the UN, right? It's right off the side.
Eunice School isn't it?
It's right next
It's
to
on
it.
the water. I thought it was
Right.
right next to it. I thought.
It is, but that's what I'm saying. So
Yeah.
confirm.
I
that
will
it's-
confirm. I
that
don't
it's
know.
actually going
I don't
to the
know
UN
the answer
building.
to that. Absolutely. I
That'd be
think
big.
I know the tour was included. I didn't know which tour. Is it just the Eunice School or is it
Right.
both the Eunice School and the UN
Great.
building?
Find out. If
If
it's
there's
the
clearance,
UN, it
you're
would
right.
definitely be a big
But
deal.
there's clearance. You're right. It's no for sure.
Well, and it may not need that much clearance if it's not in session. You know, so
True.
who knows?
Okay.
Cool.
Find out. All right.
All right, thanks, man.
Thank you.
Anything that you said that you didn't want to say, or that we talked
no,
about?
I just don't like cameras. That's all.
No, but I'm just asking now that
No, we can turn
No,
the
I
camera
didn't. I didn't say anything
So
that I
you're
didn't
cool
want to
with
say,
whatever.
but I just don't like cameras. That's simple as that.
But now that we've done it, either we can
We're
ask them
fine,
to
yeah.
erase everything, or
No, we should be okay.
okay, and we'll show it to you. But
Okay.
it's good. You're part of a pioneering science path where other entrepreneurs in the future will potentially look back and see some of these as we create the education
New world
for
of education.
for education entrepreneurs.
It requires people to be somewhat uncomfortable sometimes.
It's not uncomfortable.
Think how uncomfortable we are.
One thing that I do need to talk about is the process for investor prospecting.
Okay.
So we should put some time down. Your team was there yesterday, but we should sit down about the process for identifying investors who have a thesis that fits with the problem you're solving, how you actually go about getting to them, and then also scheduling time with them around the conference and before that.
Okay. And there's a list.
You're going to create it, right? So
No,
I have a list
I
of
need
it.
to get it starting from. Yeah.
Yeah,
that's the-
yeah,
that's
it's
the-
it's a prospect list. It's a lead list of investors, right?
And you
I
have
can
that.
kickstart it by
Yeah,
giving
that's
you
what I
an
mean.
outline of who invests in education and what type of investments they make.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, somewhere I don't know whether it's going to stick in your presentation or not, but visually seeing the experiment that you're working on with, from the digital marketing, like looking at the funnel to, from your Facebook ad to how many people download it to how many conversions.
Mm-hmm.
would be helpful in terms of explaining that. That now again, you don't know what the answer is yet,
Okay.
but assuming you start to get results that you can show how much, from how many dollars spent in the top of the funnel turn into conversions, that's the kind of thing that I think investors would be interested in too.
Sure. I mean, the other thing I was going to do over the next week is actually go talk to these 10 centers that I have and more, and actually find out as to how many hours, I'm trying to quantify, how many hours are they saving by using our app of whatever time they're saving, and what does it account to at the end of the day.
Yep.
So that's some kind of a quantification I can put in the system at that point, or in the presentation.
That would be good too.
So those are the two
User
things.
testimonial.
We have tons of testimonials and reviews that they put on the websites for
Those
us.
are good. Again, at the end of the day, I want to push toward, you got to be focused on what's going to get you $500,000, right? That's the next thing. And we're going to need to see some growth right now. I think and again, it's not like people are going to hand over cash, right, on
Nobody
December
is, yeah.
21st. So what you're doing is starting a relationship.
Right.
So, but to the extent that you are getting them interested in your problem, that they getting them interested that the market is big enough that if you solve it, then if you tell them, hey, here are the different ways we're going after it, that means if you come back a month later and say, hey, this is the progress that we've seen, and then you come back a month later, there's a progress. Like that's generally what you want to do. You want to keep them in the
Abreast of
loop
what's
and
going
show
on.
them progress over time.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Cool.
Thanks, man.
All right.
Thank you.
Guys.
Guys, I think we have another one at 4 o'clock.
Oh, it's not now?
No, it's not now.
Yeah.